You guys ever seen 28 Days Later? The answer better be yes. You better have seen that movie. And if you haven't, add it to the queue. We get no good movies now. You might as well add a good one. 28 Days Later. Put that in the queue. I think you're going to like it. And if you do like it, I got news for you. There's a sequel called 28 Weeks Later. What could possibly be after that? No, there is no 28 months later, but there is going to be a 28 years later that's currently in pre-production. I got to give them credit there. That even supersedes Halloween H2O with 20 years later. I think that's an underrated Halloween movie. Why are you talking about it? Because it's the fall. I like to talk about horror movies. What else am I going to talk about? This doubleheader on a Monday night? Sure, I'll do that. How'd Sunday go? I don't know, because I'm actually recording this before the games kick off. So if everything went your way, how good is life for you here? How good is life for you here? You were up 1,100 on the season beforehand, and then I had a good Sunday again? And then if I lost for you on this Sunday slate of games, now I'll say, look, last Monday I lost everything, then I swept the board Thursday. Sometimes you have to go back to go forward, like Martin Tyler said. Around here, we can steer the Titanic on a sharp turn so much to the point we won't get hit by that iceberg. And that's what we're here on a Monday night doing, avoiding the iceberg and steering us towards open waters and a safe return back to the coast. Now we have the random Monday night staggered start time. When did this start, by the way? I always remembered it. Opening Monday night, you have the 7 o'clock game, and then there was a 10 o'clock useless game between like the Chargers and the Raiders, which would still kind of be useless. But now we randomly have the staggered start times, simultaneous games, week 3, week 4. Who's the genius that thought this was a good idea? I don't know. Who's asking for this? Probably sports bettors, which is why I'm happy that there are 2 games, because if you watched a Dave and a Dan on Friday, you should probably go watch it because it was an enjoyable episode. But I told Dave 2 of my favorite plays are on this Monday night. And that's not always the case, as you've seen throughout the season so far. Sometimes during these prime times, Island game, what do? You go digging. You go digging for things you wouldn't have taken on a Sunday. Well, I got good news for you. 2 of these absolutely would have been on my Sunday ticket. Kind of just stumbled into that saying. But they would be on my Sunday ticket. And I'm going to start with something I've been talking about since the offseason, right into this season, so much to the point you're probably going to get sick of hearing it, and that is the Buffalo Bills are a running offense. I have to keep saying it. And I don't know, maybe nobody believes me, because unless I'm getting scammed here, the same way people get tricked with like, oh my God, I got to take the Chiefs. I got to take their -3. Usually you can avoid the stake in the woods on player props, but I'm seeing a stake in the woods, and I'm going to pay to see it if it loses. The under 30.5 opened at 31.5, and I obviously jumped all over that. Passing attempts for Josh Allen, and the under on passing completions for Josh Allen. It's 20.5 on most sites, 21.5 on FanDuel. I just don't understand how these numbers can possibly be so high. Since Joe Brady took over as offensive coordinator, they run and run and run and run. And I guess people still think it's a passing team. In order for Josh Allen to go over this, you would assume they kind of have to trail. But even in week 1, they were trailing significantly at home, multiple scores. He got to 24. He didn't even come close to approaching 30. So I really need to know, how the hell is he going to hit this number? I really only see 2 ways. Overtime or one of those unforeseen games where you're like, how the hell did that happen? And Trevor Lawrence, who completed 4 passes in the first half last week, is going to drive up the scores, become a random shootout, an unforeseen primetime shootout, which, look, it will happen every once in a while, but I will pay to see it. I will take my chances that this is the new school Bills, the Bills every single week since Brady took over, and that the Jaguars, without Evan Ingram, are going to continue to struggle, and they're going to continue to try to win these low-scoring games. I don't know. I'm going under on completions and passing attempts for Josh Allen. Both of those, they're interchangeable to me because they're both extremely high-quality bets, in my opinion. I will pay to see those things lose happily. And the other one is the over 50.5 rushing yards for Zack Moss. And I know you're thinking, come on, Zack Moss, he's looked so bad. Isn't that like a split backfield? Like I got to hope that you thought it was a split backfield. You never had your car. You look over these first couple of games, he's out touching Chase Brown 3-1. All relevant situations. Goal line, first down, second down. Chase Brown is the pass catching back. Zack Moss is the traditional running back. And yeah, he had back-to-back tough matchups. And if you think the Patriots aren't a tough matchup, how'd Breece Hall do from a rushing perspective the other night? This is a game where they're playing one of the worst defenses in the NFL, a game where they're favored by 8 points. And if you think they're going to be up, and you think they're going to cover this 8-point spread, how are they getting there? If they're up by 8 and they end up covering, you're running. And this is such a low total because of those previous 2 weeks. I think this 50.5 for an 0-2 team, who they need to win. I understand they want to get Chase going. T. Higgins is going to be back. But if they have a lead, expect a decent amount of running just to make sure that they secure that first win. You can't be going 0-3 and have a chance. Well, considering the Bengals, they maybe are one of the few teams who can dig themselves out of that hole. But a primetime game at home, you have to win. And I would say you have to win comfortably. And if they're going to win comfortably, they're going to run a decent amount when they have the lead. So give me that over 50.5 rushing yards for Zack Moss. And I will also take, just like I did with Demario Douglas, I'll take that slight alt over at plus money as well. Now, there's another bet that I like on Zack Moss, and you might be confused. It's like, wait, how can you like him and then not like him? Well, let me explain it to you. I'm going to take the under 2.5 receptions for Zack Moss. The first simple thing I could say, well, he hasn't hit it week 1, week 2. Another simple thing I could say, well, Chase Brown is the pass catching back. But number 3 is if I'm correct about his over on rushing and they are playing with a lead, what situations would Zack Moss be in there to be catching checkdown screens, dump offs? Usually the game script would call for that if you're trailing. If they're playing from ahead, I would expect that he's going to see very few passes, especially with T. Higgins returning into the lineup. Jamar Chase has to go off one of these games. I don't think there are going to be that many targets if they're playing with a lead available for Zack Moss. Like, I would have set this at 1.5 for him. They gave us 2.5. I'm going to take the under 2.5 receptions for Zack Moss. And now let me just quickly go back to the Bills game for one more pick. I understand that I like the under on Josh Allen completions. I like the under on Josh Allen passing attempts. With that said, I cannot say no to the over 37.5 receiving yards for Dalton Kincaid the same way I couldn't say no to the over 44.5 for Tank Dell or whatever it opened at this past week. Now, I know you're going to say, like, well, man, he screwed us last week. You said he was going to. Well, he was going to. He really was. The opening drive, they had multiple plays scripted for him. He caught almost like 20 yards on the very first drive. He took a knee to the helmet at the end of the drive, left for a significant amount of time for like the concussion evaluation. And in that time, James Cook went off. They went up by multiple touchdowns. Tua went down. And now they were just running every play because the Bills are a running offense and there was no chance for it. But had he not taken that knee, I am convinced we are clearing that number. We're getting a low number. We got unlucky with the knee. I get the Bills are a running offense, and I get I took those unders, but 37.5 yards, it doesn't have to be, it could be 3 catches. If he gets those 3 catches, he can get to over 37.5 receiving yards, and I will take him. So give me the over on Dalton Kincaid, and then obviously I will end you with one Pirate Parlay, and that is the Zack Moss alt rushing. Give me 70 plus for Zack Moss. Give me the under 2.5 catches. Let's see if I'm right about that prediction and that correlation. And then give me the under 21.5 passing completion, still a 21.5 on FanDuel for a plus 711. The 711. Remember I talked about 711 yesterday? I said that's where we're getting those ice cream Snickers. And you're getting those original ice cream Snickers prices on my Patreon. No inflation, which is why you guys should definitely be joining over there. It's patreon.com/Andy Francess. Think I've done a good job so far. Before this Sunday, we're up 1,100 on the year. Always trying to get you those early prices. That's where you can get in those sniff chats and exchange the wildest parlay tickets you've ever seen. And then obviously, that's where I'm going to have the early NHL picks and stuff like that. So hopefully I see you guys over there. If not, no worries. Do the other things. Do the free things, the free help. Get some good sports betting karma thrust upon yourself by liking, comment, subscribing, watch a Dave and a Dan, share a Dave and a Dan. Do all the things to help a guy. Look at my views. Every last click helps. Trust me, that thing goes to 50,000. I'm going to say, look, Thank you so much for getting me here. You brought me from level 1 to level 2. Very much appreciated. But until then, every last comment, yeah, even the guys who just comment. There's plenty of those. That's fine. Very much appreciated. I'll be back with you guys on Thursday for week 4. We're at week 4 already. The time goes. So it's before you know it, it's going to be 28 years later. All right, everyone, take it easy. I will talk to you then.